Hello, everyone. I'm privileged and honored to have with me former England cricketer Allan Lamb with us. Alan, thanks a lot for doing this and hope you're doing well.
Yeah, but we all coping and we safe and, we all surviving the virus.
Uh, Alan, tell us something about your early years in South Africa. I believe your father, Mickey, used to play some cricket, and your mother, Joan, also used to watch a lot of cricket. So tell us something about those early years in South Africa, and especially the influence of Eddie Barlow on your early life as a cricketer.
My dad just sort of played club cricket, but my mum was the adamant supporter because she used to come and watch me from a little boy. Every game I played, she used to come and watch, and then she got involved in doing the teas and all that type of stuff because the big thing was afternoon teas and doing lunches for the school children and all that. So she was a massive supporter, and Dad, played sort of club cricket, but anything above that. But probably I got involved with cricket because as a youngster, I used to go and watch them play in a club game. And then, when I got to school, I got interested in rugby and cricket. So rugby and cricket were my two major sports at school. And probably I was probably in favor more of rugby. I could have played probably rugby at the top level, which people tell me now, but I always enjoyed rugby before cricket. And I still now like watching rugby before cricket.
And what about the influence of Eddie Barlow on your career?
Eddie he had a big influence because he took Peter Kirsten, myself, and Garth LaRue, and he got us over to England in 1977 when he was playing for Derbyshire, and we played in the leagues, and he put us out to the counties to say these guys are available. They can play a little bit of cricket. And then we went back to England, back to South Africa in 1977. And I didn't have a contract to play for a county, but Peter got a contract with Northampton. But he turned it down, and he took the contract at Derbyshire because Eddie then had retired, and they had John Wright and Peter Kirsten. You allowed two overseas players. And then because of Bishan Bedi and Mushtaq Mohammed of the Packer series, they got banned, and I then was allowed to come as an overseas. So they offered me the overseas in 1978 to come and play. So the two overseas players were Safraz Nawaz and myself.
And you were part of the South African Air Force, and you worked as a salesman as well in South Africa in that period, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it was Eddie that brought in sort of professional cricket because of the Packer series and getting paid. So he went along and tried to create the professional circuit. But he also forgot that we were just students. So to us, we would do anything. It said run up the mountain, we run up the mountain. But you had other guys that were working, and they were salesmen, and they couldn't get off at 4 o'clock to come for a session, or 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. They got to practice when they could get there. So he upset a lot of people. But I mean, for us as youngsters growing up, all we wanted to do, I mean, Eddie was one of my heroes, and so was Hilton Ackerman. And I taught Hilton after Eddie was absolutely brilliant. Hilton Ackerman was a big influence on my cricket. And also Hilton played at Northampton.
And I believe you started off actually as a wicket keeper and left it to concentrate on your bowling. And then you ended up being a batsman. Is the sequence correct?
Yeah, I got a bit tired. I got a bit bored keeping wickets. I just wanted to be doing something all the time, and that's what made me become an all-rounder at school. So I was a bowler, bowled way swingers and whatever. And, at a medium pace or whatever. And then as a batter, and I wanted to open the batting because it'd be first in. I wanted to be in charge and make sure that I got the first choice, and that's how it sort of went on. And then later in the career, when I came over to England, I bowled a little bit, but I just concentrated on the batting and the bowling went.
And
But,
yeah,
and I've got to tell you one story, is that I got a wicket in Calcutta, and the guy got out?
Mohammad Azharuddin?
No, Prabhakar. He never played for India again.
No, Prabhakar played. He played till 96. But yeah.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I got him out. I got him out in the 90s, so he didn't last long then. So I got him out. There was nothing in the game, and I had him out LBW, and the crowd went absolutely ballistic for me.
And
probably the Indians loved me.
And probably if you had continued bowling, you could have challenged Ian Botham as England's #1 all-rounder in the 80s.
Not quite.
And David Steele, he also played a part in your career, didn't he? By taking you under his wings?
Yeah. Well, David came over and coached at the school we were at in Wynberg Boys High, and David was the coach there and used to come over. So he also helped a bit, but I think what David did, he just came to make sure that he was playing all year round. So when he arrived back in Northampton, he made us bowl a lot at him,
And I believe that there was a build-up towards your qualification to play for England. Between 78 and 81, there was a lot of talk that you're going to be playing for England. You also had the opportunity of going on the Rebel Tour to South Africa as one of the players, but you turned it down. Was it on ethical, moral grounds, or was it because what was the reason for that?
Well, first of all, I left South Africa due to the apartheid system. As I knew, I wasn't happy with the apartheid system, and a lot of cricketers, we all had a big stand-in, against it. And what had happened is that while I started qualifying in 1978, I started qualifying, had 4 years to qualify to play for England. Then the Rebel Tour started, and the South Africans asked me if I'd come back and I would play for South Africa against, and I said no. I said I'm very anti it. First of all, I said I'm not happy with the apartheid system, and also it'll jeopardize my chance of playing for England. And then also the English also asked me to come and play for them, and I mean, it was mad. I was jeopardizing my England career there, and the reason I'd come to England was to play for England and play county cricket.
And then when you got picked for England against India in 1982, it started off a glorious career. But there's a story, and I want you to confirm this. There's a story that initially you were a bit apprehensive when you were in the English dressing room, and it was Bob Willis, the late Bob Willis, who assured you that don't worry, you're one of us. Is that a correct story?
Yes. So that was after the summer tour, the summer in England, and then we went to Australia, and I felt a little bit edgy because, being a foreigner coming into the side, I wasn't too sure how the people had taken it. Anyway, we went on tour to Australia, and I went to see Bob, and I just said to him, I just want to make it very clear with you that I'm giving 100% to the side, whatever you guys want. I'm there to help, I'm not an individual player. And he said, listen, we're all behind you. And then Gower came to see me, and Botham came to see me, and they all said, listen, you're part of us, so, crack on and enjoy it. You're one of us.
And then you were part of a era where England had a mixed result. But most importantly, you won a Test series in India in 1984-85. How big a moment was that to be winning a Test series in India when not many would have given England a chance at that time because you were coming off a poor series in West Indies as a team. But to win in India, how big a moment was that?
That was massive. Everyone said to me, India, you'd never win in India. So people went with maybe you could say a defeatist attitude that under the circumstances playing in India, you don't beat the Indians. It's very difficult. And we didn't have like a amazing side, but we had some good players. And we had two good spinners in Edmonds and Pocock. And, that also made a big difference. But I think what happened in the first Test match we arrived when Miss Gandhi got shot, and we had to leave the country. We went to Sri Lanka, then we came back and we went to Bombay, and we were told by England that we have to stay on, everything will be safe. And then we went to the High Commissioner's residence for a cocktail party the night before the Test match. And the following morning, early that morning, he got shot. So you can imagine no one was in the right mind to play cricket. And I remember Graham Fowler, who was opening the batting, and it was absolutely packed stadium. And someone, those days you let off crackers and everything. Someone let off a cracker, and he thought someone fired at him, and he dived and hit the ground. So no one was in the right frame of mind. I'm not saying that denying the bowling of Siva and all the guys there, but we got thoroughly beaten in that Test match. And then we went to Delhi, and we regrouped, and I think the players were better. They were given a lot more confidence in, everything's going to be fine. We had police escort wherever we went. We had police outside or the army outside our rooms with a guard with a gun. The policing was incredible. And I think, if I can recall, we played and it came to the last day. And it was just going into a draw. And I don't know, the papers had already started with the friction between Kapil Dev and Gavaskar. And there was a lot of things going in the paper. And it may have sort of erupted in that Test match, but it was a draw written all over. And after lunch on that day, India came out, and I thought it was a one-day game. They just started playing shots. Edmonds and Embry bowled well, but I mean, the guys were playing like I've never seen it, and we bowled them out, and we had to get minimal runs, and we got the runs, and that made it 1-1. And that was still, to me, I see Sunny more than I see Kapil. I still ask him the question, what happened? And I still haven't had the answer.
And I suppose even Indians are still looking for an answer. But you left Bruce Reed without an answer in Brisbane in 1986-87. Again, you go into an Ashes summer where someone famously said that a side that can't bat, ball, or field, and you ended up winning all three trophies on offer in that summer in Australia. And especially you made a big impact in that match against Australia at Brisbane, if I'm not mistaken, where it scored 18 of the last over. Do you still get asked about that a lot, about that particular over and about that match?
Yes, a lot of it's shown. It was at Sydney. And yeah, I mean, listen, it keeps popping its head up and people ask questions about it and all that type of thing. But nowadays, with the IPL, it just happens every day. It's not 18 off the last over, you're not safe anymore. In those days, you were safe. It was unheard of. So I listen. In the game, it just came right for me on the day. I had scratched around and I hadn't got any boundaries right up to the last boundary, and what I did was I thought there was something wrong with my bat. It was all mind over matter. And so I then said to De Freitas, he was also sponsored by Slays and Jar. I said, give me your bat because this bat is no good. And anyway, I then took his bat and then that was history, really.
And the side doing well in that summer in Australia. What did you make of that Ashes winning? Because after that, it took nearly 18, 19 years for England to wrest the Ashes back from Australia.
Yeah, you know what? We played very well. We had a very good team, bonded team, and we had some good players. And I think what happened there is every individual came to the party during the Test matches. You know, everyone chipped in, and especially, you know, we won all the one-day competitions that were there and the Test matches. So to us, it was great. And to me, beating Australia in Australia is a massive thing, and also beating Australia as home. And then I think what happened is the tour in 92 or 90, my last tour in 91, I think I went there. Then Alan Border had taken over with Bobby Simpson, and they decided to change the whole ethic of the game and not speak to the opponents anymore. You know, you still got abused, but not to have a drink or socialize. And they did that right throughout the 90s. And, you know, they said that helped them win. But I was chatting with Matthew Hayden the other day, and I said to Matthew Hayden in 97, I said, you know, you've got to enjoy cricket. You guys are taking this so serious. I mean, it's not life or death. I said, you know, when we played, we enjoyed it. We used to go and have a drink with the dressing, meet the guy. You knew what the guy was like. You know, you got to know the individual. I got to know Lillian Thompson and that. And Matthew Hayden said, you're right. I said, you're missing the whole thing. Your whole career is not about just playing cricket. It's about the people you meet. I remember going to India. I wanted to meet the people all over India, the farmers, the people. I used to go on these tours with people and meet the Indians, all from different, you know, spheres of life and everything. And that, what to me is what touring's all about. And Matty phoned me the other day and asked me to do a story on the Ashes, you know, our moments of the Ashes. And I did one. And, you know, he said he would have loved to play it in our era, you know, because you can still play hard and still enjoy the game.
And you also loved playing against the West Indies. In an era where West Indies was dominant, you scored 1,342 runs in 22 Test matches, 600s, including one which led to England's first win in a long time on that 1990 England tour. When you also captained England in a couple of the Test matches, what was it about West Indies that got the best out of you? Especially because 84, 86, 88, you know, all these series, West Indies were a dominant side in that era.
Yeah, listen, the Indians were the greatest side in the 80s. I mean, I still think that if you look back, the Australians say their side would have beaten the West Indies in the 80s, their 90s side. I disagree with them totally, because let me tell you, I don't think there was any side that could compete against them. You know, when they had all those bowlers, the batters they had, they were incredible. It wasn't a thing I enjoyed playing against them, but I think the big thing was trying to get success against them. And my biggest thing was to try beat them as a team. And that's why there's only one innings in that whole, all my innings in my 600s I got against them, is that the innings in Jamaica when I got that 130 or whatever it was. And we beat the West Indies. So I can look back and say that was great. But that was after playing them about 23 times or 24 Test matches. So they were awesome. And you know, people say to me, you know, Clive Lloyd wasn't a good captain. To me, I totally disagree, because I think Clive Lloyd got that team where it was. You know, everyone said, well, the players are so good, he didn't have to do anything. Listen, when you're a captain, you've got to have respect. People have got to respect you. You get the best out of your players if your captain is respected. And I think Clive Lloyd was absolutely massive. And then when Viv took over, the same thing. You had to have respect. And I think then what happened with the West Indies, there was no respect for the captains. You know, they did what they wanted, and then there was money, and then there was always problems, you know. And I think that West Indies side was incredible. But they seemed to drive me on. I wanted to have success against them. And, there wasn't a lot of verbal. I got on with well. And I think they enjoyed someone who could compete. If someone couldn't bat, they just, they would ignore them. But I got into conversations with them, but not sledging. But I think I got the respect from the West Indies, and that's probably how I succeeded. I'd always say that when you're playing against the West Indies, there's one thing you have to do. You have to rotate the strike, because if they bowl 6 balls in a row to you, they've got a chance of getting you out. And they didn't like singles. Bowlers hated someone getting singles. You can't be hitting boundaries all the time against the West Indies. So your batter who comes in, you've got to tell him, hey, we've got to rotate the strike. We've got to get the 1s and 2s, because then they won't be bowling a proper line to us.
And you also, for someone who started off in 82, you also captained England in 3 test matches. How big an honor and privilege was that for you as someone who got to captain?
Yeah, it was a massive privilege. I mean, as I was a stand-in captain, put it that way, because Graham Gooch, I was vice captain to Graham Gooch, and he got injured in the West Indies, broke his hand in the game in Trinidad, and then I took over in Barbados, and we were very unlucky. We should have drawn that test match, and then it could have been a drawn series. So, but we didn't have a very strong side. We just played to what we could do. But the West Indies still had an incredible side. And then being captain, and I got 100 in that test match, which was fantastic, which I looked on, which was great. But and then the other one test match was against Australia at Brisbane, and we also lost that one. So I have a very poor record as a captain. I've played 3 and I've lost 3. So it doesn't look good. But, we didn't have a full side, because we had a few injuries in our team.
Also, you were part of 2 World Cup finals, 87 and 92. Which hurt you more, the defeat, the 87 or the 92 defeat?
I think both, really, because we both could have won. We should have won them both. And against India, Gatting played that reverse lap. I mean, we were coasting, and that probably may have hurt us a little bit more, the Indian one, because the Indian one we were in a bad. We would have had to play well in the sense against Pakistan, but we were right up there, and we had a chance to beat them, really. And then Wasm produced that incredible spell. I mean, when he got me at Lewis out. So that changed the whole game. But maybe India. I think probably India is the one that but they both hurt, really. And then, we lost the semi-final to India in my first year. So again, and then they played the West Indies, beat the West Indies.
And then in 1992, after the Pakistan series, you were not picked again. Were you disappointed with the way it ended because of you standing up for your principles, and then you were not picked again for England, especially on that India tour that followed the Pakistan series?
Yeah, I think it started after the World Cup in India. The team went to Pakistan. That was 87, 88. And I was told they wanted to pick a younger side. And I was the leading scorer in the one day, in that, and I wasn't picked. And then the Gatting said that he took Gooch and Embury and all these. And I thought, well, are they taking a younger side? So I thought, well, I was hurt by that. And I wasn't happy, because I should have gone to play in Pakistan. I don't know why. I was told at LFW they wanted to take younger members, which I can't believe. When I was still in my, my career was going fantastically well. And then I went back to South Africa, and then I broke that record. I got 294, and broke a Currie Cup record. And then it came to me. I carried on playing for England, but then it dawned to me when I accused of the ball tampering, it went against me, and I knew then England were going to pick me. But I was very hurt because they knew exactly what was going on, and they knew it, but they didn't stand by me. So. I was hurt because I felt that I still had a couple more years in me, the same as Gooch did. He carried on for another 2 years. Probably I had, but that's in hindsight. But you move on from that.
And then you carried on and played for Northamptonshire, and you had an Indian, Anil Kumble, playing there under you in 1995. And you got very close with Anil in that particular season. Were you disappointed the way Anil's coaching stint ended with India? Because you know him better than most, even in India, because you spent a full 6 months with him.
Yeah. So going back then, I concentrated really on trying to. A late chairman of mine was a guy called Lynn Wilson, and he'd been fantastic. But Northampton hadn't won the county championship. So I wanted to win the county championship. So I really concentrated from 93 onwards, for those last 2 years. I wanted to win the championship. And I'd played against Anil in 92, I think it was, at that tour. When was Tendulkar came over?
1990.
1990. And Tendulkar still owes me plenty. You know that?
Why is that? You dropped him. I remember.
I dropped him and made his career. He got 100 in that game when he was 17 years old or 18 years old. So I always say to Sachin, remember who made your career for you. Right?
And today everybody's celebrating his birthday.
Is it his birthday today?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to wish him. I'll WhatsApp him and tell him. I forgot it was. I'll do that as soon as I'm finished with you. But then going back to Anil Kumble, I phoned Sunil up and I said, Sunil, I'm really keen on getting Anil Kumble. What do you think? How do you think he'll go in England? Because he bowled okay, but didn't get a lot of wicket. And he said, Lammy, make sure you've got a good short leg and a silly mid on. Okay? He doesn't turn on the ball. He doesn't bowl, but he mainly ball slides in with a googly and that, but he doesn't really turn it big. Okay? And I spoke to Azza, and Azza said to me, same sort of thing. So I said, brilliant. I'm going to sign him. So we replaced Anil with, from Kirtley Ambrose was our overseas player. And all the people in the committee, in the paper, what are you doing getting a spinner in? And I thought, well, we had enough seamers, nothing quick, but I mean, we had enough. But I think a good spinner could win us the championship. So I went with us. And the first couple of games, it didn't go well. One day was freezing cold and that. And then we were down at Kent and we were playing in our first championship game. And Anil was freezing. So I thought, well, I'll just go along to Marks and Spencer's and or BH's. And I bought him the Sturmel gear. And I gave him the thing. And I said, wear this, you'll be nice and warm. And I threw the ball to him and I said, I'll see you at the end of September. And he was just amazing, and exactly how many wickets he got, LBWs, and caught silly point and silly. He was incredible. But you know what? Incredible man. He was very family orientated. We flew his family out. Because he didn't want to live on his own, so his family stayed with him and everything like that. And to me, he's one of the nicest and genuine guys I've ever met. And I felt it was very harsh because I thought he was doing so well with the Indian team. But again, if you're Kohli and you're running the roost, you don't get on with him. That's it. As you've seen, with captains, if they don't like the coach, then that's it. But to me, Anil Kumble is one of the most genuine men I've ever met, and he did a fantastic job for India.
Your other good friend, Ravi Shastri, is now running the show with Kohli. So, and it's been going on for about 5 years now. The two of them together. So, have you spotted Ravi and have you met him during his tenure?
Yeah, listen, Ravi would, Anil's a very straight down the thing, he wouldn't deviate in way he goes. Ravi would Kohli's one of those who take chances and he'll want to do, and Ravi would fit that bill so well with him because Ravi would be with him and support him in the chances or whatever he takes, and he'll go, he'll cross the line. Kohli does, as you see, he's very aggressive. He'll cross the line where Ravi's with him and support him because Ravi did that. Anil wasn't like that. So Anil wanted to play it straight down the middle, and if you didn't do it that way, that was it. And I think that's where the fallout came.
And you as well, we've seen a different side with, you did the Beefy and Lamb show. And I remember you guys coming down to India in the mid-90s. Tell us something about that, about how that panned out.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the guy. Nainish Desai, our solicitor, put it on with a chap. He runs event business. I can't think of his name.
Lokesh Sharma.
Yeah, Lokesh, yeah. Lokesh. And yeah, they said it would work well. And then we had that comedian, that Indian guy who went on the television, very funny guy. I can't think of his name now. He was involved with it. But yeah, it probably, it never sold as well as we thought it'd do, because I think what you needed there, the Indian people didn't have money and you wanted big audiences. So I think you had to sort of let them come in really for 10, 20 rupees or whatever, and then have a sponsor and do it that way. So, but listen, it worked out well, and we had a fantastic trip.
And if you had really put your mind to it, you could have been one of the nominees in years to come at the BAFTAs or the Oscars. You did one movie as well, What Rats Won't Do. You didn't really pursue it further, did you?
No, I didn't. Listen, that was enough for me. That was enough for me. One movie was good enough. Maybe I could get in. Maybe I could do an Indian movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Now is the time with all the digital platforms going along.
Fantastic. I'll leave it to you to sort it out.
No, but
a cricket movie.
Absolutely. But how did that role come about? Were you surprised when you were offered that role?
Well, yeah, they just came along, and it was about cricket and about the one guy having an affair with someone's wife, and this is how it sort of, and then I had to learn these lines and come in. Oh, yeah, it was quite funny, but I don't think millions of people saw the movie in England. It got shown, but it was sort of probably on Amazon or one of the programs or whatever.
And are Imran Khan and Sarfraz Nawaz part of your Friendship Day cards or New Year greeting cards anymore?
Yeah, I don't listen. I'm, what's happened in the past is gone for me. Waz is a great friend of mine. And we see a lot of him. We'll have dinner when he comes to London and that type of thing. Imran, he doesn't travel, but I have no qualms with Imran. I see quite a lot of his kids here in London with the Goldsmiths. And Sarfraz is Sarfraz. When you see Saf, we don't see him a lot, but Sarfraz is Sarfraz,
And is your love for traveling the reason why you set up the global sports travel company? What do you do under that company?
Yeah, it's not under Global Sports anymore. It's under Allan Lamb Associates now. We've brought everything under one. Yeah, so basically, travel was massive for me. When I played cricket, I went and saw the country. My big thing was when I went abroad, I never sat in the hotel room to watch television. I want to go out, meet the people, and see the country. And I saw masses of India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Australia, New Zealand, West Indies, wherever I went. So travel was always there. So I gradually was working with other companies and taking people abroad on cricket tours and sporting tours and food tours and everything like that. Now I've set up my own company, and we're hoping to do India in January. And and I want to go and do South India, Kerala, and on the houseboats and that, and then take in 1 or 2 test matches there. I'd love to do a food trip to India too. So I've got to work with a chef, and I'm sort of busy at all that. And then we've got South Africa next year. The British Lions are going to South Africa. And I've got everything organized for that. So, and we want to do food tours. Food and sport tours are fantastic, with the wine and everything thrown in.
Before that, the world has to fight this pandemic that has taken over. Can I request you to give one tip to everybody watching and listening to you on how they can keep themselves active during this period of complete lockdown all over the world?
Yeah, you know what? It can get very boring, but, do some exercises in the house. The first thing, listen to your government, stay indoors. Listen to what they say. If you're allowed to go for a walk, go for a walk. If you're allowed to go for a cycle, go for a cycle. But get your mind occupied, try to do chat shows like we're doing now. If you've got a garden, go and do some work in the garden. If you're allowed to cycle, go and have a cycle. But stay safe and listen to what the government is saying. And I think hopefully this will come by and we'll all be back again, working together and the whole world will be back working together.
Thanks a lot, Allan. It was a complete privilege and honor to talk to you, and I'll take up on your offer of finding you a role in an Indian movie very soon.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that. And I look forward to seeing you in January when I come over, as soon as I've got the dates from the Indian board. But if you can find them earlier for me, I'd be very happy so I can start planning my trip.
I will definitely share it with you as and when I get information.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Allan. Thanks a lot for doing this.
Okay, keep well. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.